Hello, everyone. I'm Sunil Kumar Das, and welcoming you all to the show today. In this podcast, we dive into the exciting world of IT and project management, and starting from product development to business analysis to exploring all the latest trending technologies that we have, and along with the human resource, we cover it all. Whether you are a seasoned professional or just starting out in the tech industry, this particular podcast is your go to resource for practical insights, real life examples, expert tips, and engaging discussions. So just subscribe and join us now in the show and for the valuable knowledge and to inspiration and which will propel you for the career forward. Today, I'm excited to welcome our guest, Mrs. Soumya Ghatak, to the show. Soumya, it's a great pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure as well, Sunil.
Okay. And so, everyone, we will be tighter today, overcoming mental barriers and achieving personal and professional growth. So, before we start, Soumya, why don't you quickly introduce yourself and what do you do, your professional experience, and then we'll start with our discussion today.
Sure. First and foremost, thank you so much, Sunil, for having me in this show. I am always excited to be part of such kinds of environments where there are so many intellectuals with whom I can mutually share my learning, and also, of course, learn from them as well. So this is just a small endeavor where I could share my learnings with all the folks out here from all the years of experience that I had. I am primarily an IT professional. Started my career in the IT world. After a few years in TCS, then I moved into Nokia. Was an R&D engineer as a developer at that point of time, and post that I delved into the project management, the team leadership, scheme of things in Deloitte as well as Ascendum. And once I got done with my postgraduate, I joined an EdTech concern, which was a startup into the realm of the growth and strategy, right? So there, I used to be part of a team where we used to always brainstorm how to go ahead and make the most out of the project management concepts and share the same across with individuals, be it over app or over website. There will be individuals who would be even now, and also obviously in future as well, getting to make the most out of whatever we have on offer. And off recently, I have again joined the IT realm. I am a senior engineering manager out here, dealing into the IT scheme of things. And that's how my professional experience is. Now, long story short, I'm always learning. Yeah. You can say that even though, or irrespective of my 13 or 14 years of experience, whatsoever I have, I am still at ground zero in terms of how I can go out and improve, and that's something which always buzzes me, fills me with enthusiasm, and also I have a keen sense of uh, belief, strong belief, I would say, that possibly led me to this kind of show, here, so that I get to share some learnings with you guys as well. So yeah, that was my experience in short.
This this is fascinating. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for this awesome introduction. Okay, when we, before we start with this one, now, as you mentioned, you have almost 13 to 14 years of experience. Can you talk something about project management? What's your experience in project management? Being a project manager, what do you think? What is this industry is all about? Do you think
Sure.
it's easy? It's hard? It's difficult to deal with, to be in this job? Or what's your experience here?
Sure. This is a very valid question, and very pertinent in this point of time, in this juncture, to discuss with all the ups and downs that we are going out and seeing in the industry, as well. Project management is something which stems from your own personal life. Yeah. If you go into the deep dive into the word project, you see that project is something which is unique, has a time constraint, if I may say, as a beginning and an end. And what you get
Yeah.
as an output is something which is pretty unique as an outcome, to that particular tenure. Put in some inputs, you get some outputs. That output is pretty unique. Someone else might not go ahead and get that kind. There might be common things, but at the end, if you compare whole or both things, you get some unique outputs. Now, why am I going into or deep diving into the definition? So, this whole thing of life, if you think philosophically or not philosophically, Sunil's life, his outcome would be pretty different from Soumya's life, Soumya's outcome, right? So if I
Correct. Correct.
have to,
Yeah.
exactly. So if I have to, excel in my life, I will have to think unique. I will have to make sure that I am confident. I'll have to make sure that wherever I am not confident, how I can go ahead and improve upon those scheme of things, overcome the mental barriers, as you see in the topic as well, and go ahead and proceed in my life to gain whatever I'm looking forward to. Now, that is just the starting point of project management. If you as a person are a good project manager, then you can go ahead and lead the team in the right way. And when I say lead the team, it's
Correct.
not about letting people know what they have to do. And there's a very wrong concept. As a manager, you have to go ahead and tell people what you have to do. If you have to do that, then I'm very, very, blunt in admitting the fact that you might not have the right team in place. So your team need not have to be spoon-fed. They have to be just shown the direction. You are the captain of the ship.
Correct.
Just show the direction, and the team has to go ahead and proceed or progress in that. Now, getting into the technical scheme of things, a project manager is not someone who is outside the scope of the project in terms of the technical know-how. He or she has to have the technical know-how of that particular, project and that particular work, so that he can go ahead and let people know that these are the areas where you have to look into. Starts very, organized manner from the outset about knowing the scope, what you have in hand. If you don't know the full scope, what you need to do to understand more, right? The project discovery phase. Then you get into the planning phase where with all the scope in place, you go, get to plan. Then you get into the implementing phase where whatever you had planned, you implement those. Then you get to monitor and see what exactly, like inspect and adapt, something which we very commonly hear in the agile parlance. So you inspect and see where you are getting wrong and then adapt to the real scheme of things. Of course, take all the stakeholders into confidence and then get into the final delivery of the project. Very, very easier said than done. Getting back to your question, Sunil, where you are asking, where you had asked, is project management something which is very simple? Well, very, very importantly, it's not simple, if you don't follow the right way. If you follow the traditional path that this is
Correct.
the from where I've learned project management, let me implement it in my project, it won't be simple, right? However, if you know how to manage yourself, know how to influence people the right way, give that positive vibes to the whole team, let them feel unique in your team, and that's a very important proposition. It's not about the size, not about the quantity, it's the quality that matters. Let them
Correct.
your office, hit the desk if they are going out and working from your office with full buzz, with full confidence. Let them go ahead and do whatever is needful, right? And let them go ahead and be the champions of their own outcomes. You just go ahead and guide them. This is the way in which you have to do. That is the way in which you don't have to do. See the outcome and see how it is going on. Now, here many people might go ahead and comment saying that people might go ahead and take advantage of such situations. Taken for granted, right? What kind of a boss if is someone who doesn't boss, who just goes and guides and gives you the knowledge or gives you the freedom, imparts you? What is that kind of boss? Very importantly, the current picture, the current world of project management doesn't need a boss. That's my thought process again.
Correct. And that's
You
what
just
PMI also, strongly
right.
encourages to.
Absolutely. You build bosses, you build leaders, you build people who are going to be, carriers of, that flame, of projects whatsoever. You build a legacy of success, right? And when you have people who, correspondingly or simultaneously resonate inside that, you feel a collective success going ahead and, buzzing across the hierarchy of your organization. That is project management in itself. Well, it's a big discussion. If you ask me, I can go on. We'll cut the long story short. Start from your life.
Exactly.
Be a
Yeah.
project manager. Be a good project manager. Transform that in your workplace. Have people surrounding within you whom you have empowered. See the magic.
Right. So definitely we'll come back to this one, and if required, we'll join again and discuss about project management. However, now let's start discussing about today's topic. So to first start with, now as we are going to discuss about mental barriers, right? So what's your perspective on that? What mental barriers are and how they impact our personal and professional progress? Yeah.
Very, very important. And this is something which we all should understand first and foremost before even doing anything. Even your daily course, that is actually based on this. So this is actually very intricate, and This need not be, googled out. What are mental barriers, mind barriers? A big definition comes. No, absolutely not. However, I will put it in very, very simple terms, which you and I can resonate, right? Now, if say, for example, Sunil had to have this kind of a show, a talk show, right? The Sunil show. So obviously, the the event of you having the Sunil show had multiple occurrences. One, that is the first occurrence was in your head, where you envisioned, your mind envisioned,
Correct.
imagine that you are having this kind of show where you're standing in front of people and taking forward that show. The second, of course, was the execution where you and I are going out and sitting and of course having this great discussion out here, along with obviously the other participants who joins your show. So in between these two, right? One, your mind where you're imagining the occurrence of an event, and secondly, in reality, where you're actually seeing the event going on and taking place, the invisible barrier that lies, which you are creating or someone else is creating, that's a different proposition altogether. That invisible barrier, which either doesn't let you go out and think, it doesn't let you go out and think or imagine. You might think that I'm not that great in public speaking. Why should I have this kind of show? Let me see, Ranveer's show or someone else's show or whatsoever, and let me enrich my own thought process. Such kind of barriers which actually prevents you from imagining, right? Or the barriers which makes you think the other way around. You have dreamt something, but your mind is going ahead and tricking you, going ahead and as though telling you that you are not up for that. You're not meant for achieving whatever your dreams or goals are in your life. Those invisible aspects are your mental barriers whatsoever. Those are poisons, and the more you entertain those, those are going to take you, or rather leak you, to the extent where you might not go ahead and even have the confidence to stand around or to turn around whatsoever. Now, in the personal life, these mental barriers, can be a huge, minus, and you will have to identify them and get out in various ways to, in which you can actually do that, overcome those mental barriers. The professional life as well, a big way. So until and unless you envision yourself as a project manager, as a program manager, going ahead and leading a team and taking them towards success. Until unless you are envisioning that right now I have started within a 2 weeks down the line, the team will go ahead and attain success, and whatever increment you are delivering to the customer, they are super delighted. It doesn't happen.
Correct.
So that's where the mental barriers comes in, and that's where it is so critical in everyday work. I won't say only for a project manager, but it's also for any team member out there. It's equally important.
Correct. So, a follow-up question here. So, when you said there is something called invisible barrier,
Right.
now most importantly, we need to understand. Okay, what exactly it is. We understood. So, how to identify this one, or how to overcome? The first step is identifying, then working on that to overcome that particular problem. So,
Right.
how can we identify this invisible barriers, or when the feeling started? Okay, unconsciously in some way. So how to identify and stop that? Okay, let's stop this particular thing here only,
Right.
and let's
Right.
work on that to overcome. So how can we do that?
Very important and very easy to do that. There are various ways like mindfulness, yoga, this, that. You can also obviously anytime try those out. There's so many resources and you will definitely get benefits. However, everyone has to start from ground zero. And for that ground zero, you will have to dedicate that 1 minute for a start per day. 1 minute is very easy to go out and we even go out and scroll, through our phones, right? So that 1 minute, for a start, is your own minute where you just keep yourself idle, possibly get into a silent zone, right, where no one is going to disturb, not even your phone, not even anyone else whatsoever. And in your silent zone, just introspect what you are thinking. Let the thoughts flow, right? Let the thoughts come. That's absolutely fine as to how they are coming. Any type of thought could be positive, could be negative. You just note those thoughts down, right? And in case, say for example, you are getting a negative thought, right? That whatever I am saying, what that person XYZ sitting at that particular remote corner of the globe might be thinking, you just keep noting those down, right? Now, this is a habitual thing, right? Just 1 minute's exercise. You have possibly noted, say, 10 different such thoughts, whatever came in your mind, which is possibly not going ahead and giving you that freedom to fully explore or explode, I would say, your potential. You have immense potential. Someone is going ahead and, striking reins, not letting us go ahead and exercise our freedom. You know it very well that that's happening whatsoever. So next, what you do
Correct.
is you go ahead and say, tell to yourself that I will go ahead and make sure that whatever I go ahead and say in front of everyone, that is going to be super, that is going to be honest, that is going to be truthful. I am here to make sure that others are getting benefited from what I speak, right? So why I should go ahead and think to myself that whatever I'm saying is not worth it? That is something which is referred as opposition thinking. Very important. I myself go ahead and utilize that whenever I go, or whenever I go ahead and have such kind of bout at any point of time, or even I feel angry, agitated, irritated, feel guilty whatsoever that I should not have done that, I should have done that. These kinds of things are literally going out and draining your brain of what you should be doing at some point of time, and that's where the mental barriers come,
Correct.
right? You are actually now very importantly, when we talk about a barrier, it's like a wall, correct? Now the wall starts with
Correct.
one line, then you go to two lines, then you go to three lines. Now how we are going and resurrecting that wall, continuously going ahead and fearing that I am not possibly worth it, fearing that I am not possibly going ahead and saying something which actually gets acknowledged by someone. No one is listening. Who will listen to these things? Who will do that? No one goes ahead and acknowledges me. No one respects me in my project. See, I am myself. No one actually does that, but I am thinking to myself, no one is actually respecting me in my project. If I even think 1 millisecond, such kind of thought is actually going to drain my whole day of gym, my yoga, my exercise, my meditation, everything. So we
Correct.
can't afford one single such negative thought, because if you do so, then it's like an embryo, going to build a small building blocks and going to erect a wall, which becomes a humongous thing to go out and tide over. In fact, we are going to make our thing a very, very difficult proposition on personal as well as professional life if we keep encouraging that. So whenever there is a weed, pluck that, remove, trash it. Simple as that. That's how you go ahead and overcome. I would say in the simplest of terms, the mental barriers. I hope that was, understandable, right? It was not too complex to, yeah, to respect.
Correct. So we always say mind has the potential to reach the infinite,
Yes.
and what you think you'll become, right? So this is nothing but the flow of energy, right?
Yes.
This is the positive energy flowing somewhere, yeah. And that's how a mind, the thought process should be. Now, when we talk about this one, could you please elaborate something on mind, the way it thinks,
Right.
and the flow
Yeah.
of energy, right, within the mind, which kind of resonates within ourselves,
Right.
and these taps are potential to do anything or achieve anything, right? So how can you elaborate this one, the mind and the energy flow between, the energy in between mind?
Right, and this is a very, very important aspect out here. And if you go into the depths whatsoever, you start realizing that whatever we see is possibly not even 1%, 0.0001% of whatever you're meant to see. So there is so many things which are happening, which are there, which until unless you at least give an effort to realize, is just a waste. You don't get to know anything about that until unless you give that effort. Now, until unless you know those
That's right.
things, you're not going to get to that direction. So in that regard, let me tell you that science of course explains so many things, but there are many, very many things whatsoever which science can't explain. And that's where comes the source of everything, the destination of everything as well. So whenever we talk about two faces of a coin, be it head or tail, or say be it birth or death, or be it say a positive or a negative, everything has only one face, the one source, if I may say, and that's a unified source of energy. We are all products, byproducts of that energy. Now, I am not a religious saint who can comment about birth, rebirth, the life after death, this thing, that thing. I'm not sure about those things until unless I know myself whether those things are real. I can't go ahead and comment, right? Obviously, some spiritual guru can. However, what I strongly believe out here is, you have the ability to go ahead and change things in your direction, and the Almighty, if you believe in that, has given you that ability to go ahead and make things go in your direction. And what
Correct.
is that ability? The very, very, very important, very, very powerful mind. You must have heard that term. A mind, the mind is a very powerful servant. but a very terrible master. The mind is a very terrible master, but a very faithful servant. Very, very important to understand and acknowledge whatsoever. So what that does mean is, if you allow mind to be a master of yourself, what I in turn mean by that is, you just sit idle and let the mind play tantrums. You are not up for this. You are not good enough. You what are you going and conduct? This show is not good enough. What the other guys are doing are way better than. If you let all those garbage seep in, it will be a terrible, terrible master, and of course a terrible, terrible mistake, right?
Correct.
However, if you just go on the back seat and just go ahead and ask mind, well, you have done enough and more tantrums all over this X number of years in my life. Let me at least for 1 second go ahead and take a back. It's not my guilt or not my fault that I have ended up descended on this earth to be a slave of yours. Let me also try to manage you. Let me also try being a master of you. Just be a servant of mine and let me go ahead and master you. So what in that fashion would mean is, you are letting the mind know that these are the set or ranges of thoughts which you should interpret. Now, on an average, scientifically, we see that around 60,000 thoughts, go ahead and kind of range our mind across the whole day. And I've read in some book out here about this particular aspect, that 99% of those thoughts are something which we have thought on the day before. So that's something which is very stark. We are actually repeating the same chain of thoughts, whatever we keep going ahead and thinking every now and then, every alternate day. Now, why am I saying all these things is because we are letting the mind be a master of us. Just being idle, possibly going ahead and having a time which we richly deserve to enjoy, which is when it just gets spoiled just by virtue of mind going ahead and playing with some random thoughts. How often it happens, and I'm very sure if anyone honestly does this at their end, like out of 10 occasions, I'm very sure at least 7 to 8 occasions, that person will go ahead and say that if I sit idle, I'll feel that I have no work. Something is wrong. Someone is going ahead and thinking ill about me. All these thoughts keep coming in. And I will be very honest, it happens to everyone out here.
Correct. Yeah.
It will happen. However, if you take reins, if you take charge, that no, I am not supposed to. The mind is a very beautiful garden, right? And if I go ahead and give the saplings inside that garden the necessary nourishment in terms of their food, light, shelter, their fertilizers, whatsoever, right? Then you see a full garden out here which needs to be preserved, which needs to be maintained. And that that very important aspect out there, and this is very important to understand and very important to internalize as well, that serene garden inside you is something which you should cherish to make it more serene. Because howsoever the extent to which you are making it serene would actually be a reflection in your outer world. Whatever you are achieving, wheresoever you are, is actually a reflection of your inner world out here.
In a word.
And that has happened. I have as such gone out and faced this every now and then. I'll let you know. Right? So in terms of my, student life, whatsoever, we used to get great numbers till some point of time, when at some point of time, some class started, coming, all these thoughts, rather entertaining all these negative thoughts whatsoever, which impeded the thoughts. Once it becomes corrupted, just like a virus, if it corrupts, and if you let yourself corrupt without any external help, you'll find the external world also going and reciprocating simultaneously. That is the time when you feel like giving up. This, that, what all, man, why all these things? You start, blaming yourself for various things. Blame game doesn't help at any point of time whatsoever. However, at any point of time, and this is a beauty of mind whatsoever, you can take reins or you can take charge. It's not that it's too late for anyone at any juncture in their life.
Correct.
They want to do something good, they have to go ahead and start from the word go. Make it a beautiful garden. Make sure that that garden doesn't have any weeds. If at all there is any weed, pluck it and remove it whatsoever. And that's why you maintain the serenity of that energy. Everyone has an energy. We can't quantify life. We can't say life is big. Life can be as small as an ant, or even invisible. It can be a huge animal as well. You can't quantify life. However, that's an energy which needs to be maintained the most serene way. The more you are conscious about that, the better for you. Yeah. Absolutely.
Correct. So when we say, this energy, first thing is very important, realizing it, right? The fact is, every one of us has their own potential. Just
Right,
we need to realize that, right?
right.
And sometimes we need either a well-wisher, a friend, or an
Yes,
external push, which will help
yes.
us to make us realize, okay, Sunil, you can certainly do this one, right?
Right.
Sometimes by doing certain yoga, our own discipline, we'll be
Yeah,
able to realize that one, right? Now
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
all about cultivating that mindset or that positive
correct,
mindset,
correct.
or training our brain to think in right direction or the positive direction as much
Exactly.
as possible, because
Right,
we cannot commit or say, okay, every day we only think positive things. No, it's not at all possible. There will be
right.
certain time we, as a human being, certainly will think some negativity, right? And it's equally important for us to make it minimum, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So now
So
we need to
I would rather,
understand how.
go ahead and say is that, on that front, not even minimum, make it next to zero, because even if you are having those
So
one
correct,
or two minimal things, right, that is again going to play against you, and all your good work that you have done is getting going to get undone. And that's the law out here, irrespective of the fact whether you have given 80% of your efforts towards making sure that you are at supremely, positive thoughts. Even the 20% whatever you have entertained, within which possibly 5% negative thoughts comes, that is going to pollute you. Like, it's just similar to, one rotten potato is the pack of potatoes. You know it very well.
correct. Now on that same front, so when we discuss about cultivating a mindset, so could
Yeah,
you please elaborate something that how can individuals cultivate a mindset that enables everyone, them to look beyond the obvious and for a greater good? How can
very,
we do
very
that,
important
which
question.
will help us
Yes.
both
Yeah,
personally as well as professionally?
exactly. Very frankly, Sunil, and this is not something which is entirely spiritual, but I have seen, I have felt, and I would recommend as well. The fact that everyone is connected, right? Now, a
Correct.
few days ago, I didn't know you, right? So leave alone having this discussion with you on this front, wouldn't even know who is Sunil, how the hell, Sunil got to know me and we get into such kind of discussion, right? It's my fortune to know Sunil, and my fortune to get such kind of platform to go ahead and share a few of my, things which I would like to, obviously. So that's where, I am grateful, very importantly. I am grateful, for this kind of opportunity. The moment you are, grateful, the moment you have opened your senses, towards accepting or receiving, the biggest prize or the biggest powers of the universe whatsoever, the that moment you see miraculously, things turning your way, right? Of course, having dreams, chasing your dreams, going ahead and realizing your dreams, this, that, and all is always important. What am I saying is, from the bigger front, what is that bigger front? Even the small to small errands that you go out and do from the start of your day, right? Even if it, say for example, pertains to, say, um, you know say, mopping your floor, right, or arranging your bed sheets in neat and tidy way, those are also errands which needs to be, perfect, right? You always see that there is one person possibly a chance to make it better than the previous day.
Better, correct.
When you are
There is
grateful
always
for
a
it,
room.
yes, always a room to go ahead and, trigger that, self improvement, both be it from the mind as well as the body, and respecting, whatsoever energy is inside you, making sure that you are grateful, towards the bigger scheme of things. Also making sure that you are continuously improving on whatever you had achieved the other day. There is a reason as to why I have mentioned about the bedsheet thing, because every day is an opportunity for us to improve on howsoever we can, right? So if, say for example,
Correct.
within the 10 minutes of talk that I'm having with you, I entertain one small negative thought whatsoever, that is even a point of my improvement. And if I get that opportunity to understand that I have a point for improvement, I'm grateful for the same. And if I get to improve on that, I'm still more grateful about the same. You see, this is how it operates. And the more consistent you are with that thought process, it seamlessly operates whatsoever. Now, I am possibly just touching the tip of the ocean, tip of the iceberg, if I may say. There are loads of things to go into, deep down, and I'm grateful to get
Correct.
the opportunity to possibly knock the door and see what's, there. But then, yeah, this is how it seamlessly works. And in terms of the framework, what I strongly believe or feel, starting with um, the envisioning of where you want to be, what you want to do, possibly noting that down, making sure that you have a deadline in place, planning well in advance, and being a master of your mind, which in turn allows you to become a master of your time. And also, very importantly, practicing that on a consistent basis, say across the 21 days, 30 days, whatsoever. See the magic. It's just like, I'm letting you know and telling you that you will experience for yourself. Possibly, you will tell your better half, how could this happen? I have been struggling behind this for so many days. Now it just happens without even me thinking about it. That's how, or that's what the power of the mind is.
Because of the habit, and
Exactly.
definitely we have put in our conscious mind, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you have told one thing about being open. We have to be open in terms of realizing and understanding the potential, right? This is an important thing to understand here. I have a question. So how can we be open to everything, or the greatness of the world, or the energy, or the good things? Because most of the things people are not open, and then they don't realize that they are kind of somewhere it is closed, right? The mind is closed, or they are not open enough to accept the goodness or the good things, right? So how can we understand this? And first of all, we can work on this particular problem.
Right. A very, very valid point, a very, very valid thing. See, the first step I would say is going ahead and having this kind of a question, whatever you're having. Why I say this is because you have the urge to go ahead and improve, and that's the first stepping stone, right? If, say, for example, after returning from office, I just spend my day possibly, watching a, TV series, going ahead and possibly answering to some mails, having dinner, and possibly having some words with my family for say 10, 15 minutes, and getting to bed. Again, tomorrow morning, I raise by 6 or 7, do my daily course, and possibly yoga, meditation, gym, this, that, and all, and speed across for office. So what am I doing is nothing wrong. Of course, this is what we are expected out of, during this juncture, of course. Being a salaried professional, that's very important. But we are not possibly giving the relevant amount of time to ourselves, which we must. In fact, just quoting the famous words of Swami Vivekananda, if you are not taking time for yourself, possibly not the exact words, but somewhat around that. If you're not
But
giving
yeah,
time to
yeah, yeah.
yourself, yeah, if you're not giving time to yourself even 5 minutes, a day, you're possibly missing one of your best friends, some of the best people out there in your world, whatsoever. And that's how it has to be, right? So what I in turn mean by that is, if you're giving say 5 to 10 minutes or even 10, 15 minutes out here for yourself in solitude, right? We're not going ahead and taking the examples of people in Himalayas out there. That's possibly some other extreme. However, it's always possible, irrespective of this heat, irrespective of this summer, irrespective of whether you have too much of deadlines, too much of pressure at your home, at your office, at your work front. It's definitely possible to spend those 10 to 15 minutes, which is your time, to be happy, to be peaceful about where you are. And let me also go ahead and put this very, very important point out here as well. Wherever you are right now, it must have happened. It has happened. I'm 110% sure that you must have envisioned that as a goal a few years ago. We actually missed
Correct.
that plot. So wherever I am currently, I have actually struggled to be at that this point of time, right? And I need to be grateful about this particular opportunity, whatever happens elsewhere. Someone says bad, I have not performed well, I have not done this, I have not done that. There's a separate story altogether. But I'm thankful of wherever I am. So that's a cultivation of whatsoever, howsoever I have gone out and given things whatsoever. Why am I saying is this is because it's always very, very utterly important to make sure that you stay true to yourself, stay true to your roots, and be grateful about whatsoever you are, and wheresoever you are, or wheresoever you are headed, whatsoever. Right? This is very, very important, to note. At the end of the day, it's the collective unconscious. Everyone is connected, right? Whatever you give, you get the same, right?
Correct.
This is something which is going to be very, very useful and instrumental in the way in which you move forward, right?
That's really great. It's so relatable because what we think and where we are today, definitely some time ago we thought this one, and that's the reason we have worked for it and we are here, right? And definitely some stories might have happened. That's a different story, but yeah, whatever we think and we might have thought, we are here today. Yeah. So again, on the same note, I would like to emphasize on one thing as we discussed, starting small things and being consistent and persistent in terms of doing that is where our self development, professionally and personally, is relies on. Now, can you say some of your examples that how this approach helped you personally achieving your personal goals or professional goals?
Right. So this is something which is very, very important out here as well. So let me put it this way. So from my childhood, I used to set standards for myself. I don't know where it came, but it some way came to an extent where parents didn't used to have to think about me. I used to go out and set barriers to myself that I will have to go out and score this much in this particular exam, or the whole set of. So unfortunately, and I am happy that that happened as such, and this is what is also the mindset which dawns upon when you get into the other scheme of things. I'm happy to have encountered a position where all sort of negativities came. I was not able to deal with those things whatsoever. Now, as I mentioned, all those seeds, all those weeds. I had a picture perfect memory. I used to memorize pages like anything, and it used to just flow seamlessly, flow whatsoever. I started losing that memory whatsoever, and I started doubting myself. What is happening inside me? Now, why am I not able to remember? Why am I not able to do this? That I would say, somewhat obviously was linked to some kind of depression, although I was not, linked to any kind of counselor at that point of time, and that also obviously boiled down to my marks, whatever happened. Marks are not important, not the end game at any point of time. At that point of time, it could have been a downfall, whatsoever. But somewhere, sometime, something needs to be there when you realize to yourself that, I need some kind of opening. And that urge, that eagerness led me to meet a maths teacher, who is my maths teacher, who recommended me some way in which I got associated with a meditation center that was in class 11, whatsoever. That helped, tide the boat. Started realizing and introspecting myself, things which have completely gone ahead and overshadowed, kind of possibly, kept a blanket, where although I was obviously at that, age, I would say, I was just getting to know more things, but I started feeling good about myself. Why the hell am I going ahead and, punishing myself for something which I haven't done? And this is very important out here, Sunil. The more you are very, very, eager about the outcome, I need this, I have to do this, you are being more, not kind to yourself, unkind to yourself. And the moment you do that, when your one eye is lost towards the outcome, the other eye, whatsoever which you have, is actually, devoid of any kind of guidance. You are actually falling short of that. It's like, having your multiple feet on two boats is bound to sink whatsoever.
Understand. Yeah.
Right. So since I actually went into that more from my college days itself, and with definite kind of fodder, if I may say, which I have put in this regard, thankfully, out of gratefulness, I am now able to understand and realize things, and I have a routine which I have set, which helps me to go out and improve upon myself every now and then. Every day will be a different challenge whatsoever, which I always love. At the end of the day, the onus comes the moment you are not falling as a prisoner to that moment, or rather you are not falling as a uh, as an after effect to that event. Rather, you are visualizing that event as a third person and going ahead and doing the needful for you. Possibly noting that thing down, what comes in your thought, what rattles your brain, how you can go ahead and think in a different way. Okay, fine. So I'm feeling negative. Let me go ahead and do some cardio for 30 minutes, for example. Now, where am I? I'm staying. I'm although a very gym, fond person, not in terms of weights, but in terms of running cardio and all. At this juncture, at this place where I am currently stationed, so there is no gym nearby. So I have to go ahead and be satisfied with whatever avenues I have at my home. So I love jumping around, and with that adrenaline, you can say the serotonin and all, you feel happy, and then at that point of time, you give those 10-15 minutes to calm your breath. Very, very important. right? Calm your breath. The more control you have over your breath, the more control you have over your energy. Coming back to the previous point, right? How you can go ahead and master the energy is how you go ahead and take control of your breath.
Controlling your breath.
Yes. So there are various breath control measures, pranayam, other things whatsoever. Those interested will obviously go for that. This is not a session on pranayam whatsoever. But this is how you can go ahead and take control over your breath. And the more you have control over your breath, the more clarity you get in your head. That in turn goes ahead and propels you in whatever you do. Right? It gives you immense energy, Sunil. And when you get that immense energy, right, feeling jealous about something, feeling angry about something, feeling guilty about something. What are those feelings whatsoever? You just go out and see those things and start realizing at your end, what the hell are these kinds of feelings which were polluting me? See, again down the day, you again might start falling prey to those kinds of feelings. Very honest. It won't happen that all of a sudden the whole day, 24 hours, you are devoid of those feelings. Have a vision in place, have a goal in place, right? That you are going to attain a day where you are not going to face or encounter any such kind of feelings whatsoever. See the magic. See the answer to one of your questions: how do I get started, or what do I do? Nothing, nothing too abstract whatsoever. Just taking that one minor mini step, where you get to do something good. If not for yourself, of course for others, right? And that in turn will be, good for yourself, because everyone is connected out here. And very frankly speaking, when you just open your channels in that direction, you seamlessly find avenues where you can contribute, be it through writing, be it through reading. I love poetry. Whenever I am in my mode, I somehow down the line come up with some lines whatsoever which seems to rhyme, and that's great. It's somewhere down the line which helps contribute, helps make people happy, helps make people overcome whatever they might feel as challenging in your social arena, and that in turn helps you to grow big. So I would say that the answer to one question possibly transcends into some other question, and this is how it is. Nothing is concrete, nothing is compartmentalized, right?
Exactly.
Things will keep
Exactly.
flowing, overflowing, if I may say. However, if you hold an empty cup, very importantly, you will get whatever you deserve.
That's true. See, just now we discussed about being consistent, doing
Yeah.
something regularly. Now there's one term called procrastination, which
Yes.
hinders, which stops us from doing that.
Right.
And it happens for every age group. It's not
Yes.
limited to student group or professionally or personally or nothing like that. So how can we overcome that? It's a big thing, right?
Right.
So every time we delay something, we think in our mind, okay, we'll do later. This
Yeah.
procrastination,
Right.
is one of the step
So
or main reason for failure.
right, absolutely. So I normally link procrastination in a cyclic manner to something else. So what I mean
Mhm.
by something else is, if you're not planned, if you're not a master of time, if time is always going out and creating pressure on you and you're always chasing time whatsoever, yeah, so you will give yourself excuse, and possibly that will result in procrastination. And once you procrastinate, you'll again be a slave of time, and it keeps repeating in a cycle. That's my explanation of
Correct.
procrastination out here. Now, the simplest way out here, and leave alone procrastination, thinking bad about yourself, or thinking that tomorrow I will do this, that, and all. The very basic step, and this was the starting point of our discussion. As busy working professionals, we have responsibility for everyone, right? Our profession, our family, our elders, our near and dear ones, so many people out there. Now if we have to be responsible, we have to strike a right work life balance, right? And if you have to strike the right work-life balance, no one is asking the other way of procrastination, which is to go ahead and be so much alcoholic that possibly you're working 24 hours a day. No one is asking that, right? It will be a sure shot way to crash and burn very soon down the line. Whatsoever. Again, hats off to people who are so passionate that they work 24/7. But no one is asking to do that. You can possibly attain 10 times more than by working 24/7 if you are actually going in and feeding such kinds of thoughts in your brain and moving forward, right? So that's where you need to go ahead and stop, pause. And this is again, until and unless you think that you have to improve. If someone is procrastination, I'll be stuck in that time loop, or the cycle whatsoever. I procrastinate, I have something to blame on. I again delay on things. I'm not, going ahead and, being, there. And again, I will keep going ahead and being trapped inside that loop or cycle. It's not going to help. What I normally do, and this is very simple out here, start of the week, Saturday or Sunday, when I get, like, you will get some time, right? Even if you are going with family outside, this, that, spend the whole day just before, say, for example, striking the bed and starting to realize the next day's tasks or activities. I plan out the whole week well in advance. And this is very, very important. Plan out the whole week with the overview of how I'm going to go ahead and proceed. Whatsoever. Now, if that is not possible, based on your work, obviously, something might be dependent on the outcome of your meeting with Mr. XYZ tomorrow. It might happen, right?
Correct.
So I'll be then going ahead and fully focusing on that meeting itself and ensuring that I have everything in place before even I start my day tomorrow, right? Very importantly, I can't afford to go out and sleep without, having the peace of mind that I'm going to do a good job, a decent enough job tomorrow. I can't afford to go out and sleep with problems in mind. I need to be in the silent state, or I'm in gratitude, I'm feeling happy, just for 5-10 minutes, recollecting all the good things that I did, right? And then going and striking the bed. It's going to be immensely useful. Next day morning, you rise up, don't be too harsh upon yourself. You might go ahead and take things in the wrong direction, or might be making some silly mistakes out there. Who knows? But be kind to yourself. The more you are in that mode, right? Whatever I mentioned, the sooner you will see that even luck favors you your way. Because that's how luck is. Luck is nothing but possibly your preparation meeting the right opportunity, something like that. That's what we get to see out here, in very big ways or terms whatsoever. That's what it will be. You are 100% prepared. You will get the same kind of result or outcome, if not more, if you are actually staying true to all these thoughts, whatever we have gone on. It's very simple. Just about making small, tiny changes. And I'm going ahead and saying all these things because now I've consciously seen making these changes are bringing that, that true happiness inside you. A very, very important thing. And we learned this in courtesy of Professor, there in my postgrad, taking a, a course on management paradigms from Bhagavad Gita. At the end of the day, the numbers, the money, the CTC, this, that, and all boils down to how peaceful you are getting to sleep, with your family at the end of the day. And that's where
That's very important. Correct.
happiness lies. Yes. So that's everything else is immaterial. If I'm able to go out and kind of chill and have a good time sleeping, that is the biggest success which I get out of my profession whatsoever. Make things simpler. It's not about chasing anything whatsoever. Things will automatically come to you without you even having to chase. Magically, if you are actually going ahead and thinking in this direction. Very, very sure about that. So,
Right. See, along with this one, we have one more important thing, and we need to understand about is self-doubt
yes.
and comparison. Right. Every time we go for, we have a negative tendency that we compare ourselves with someone else. Probably
Right.
we don't know about their story, their level of effort, but we always try to compare. Right.
Right.
And in beginning of our discussion, we started with this point. Now, could you enlighten on something that how can we shift our focus from self comparison or doubt to self improvement, right? Or
Right.
transforming this particular negative energy to a positive energy, which flows from one direction to other and lead
Right.
us towards success or self
Right.
growth, I will
Absolutely.
say.
Absolutely. Sunil, and this is a very important and very good point out here as well. And this is, I would say, a kind of byproduct of time that we are discussing comparison with others as a negative thing. There used to be a time when comparison used to be with our friends, our peers, our family members, our elders. See, this guy has gone. Take some help from, and we used to. Yes, this guy is some super genius. Let me go out and take some help from that particular guy, without having the aspect of any jealousy, any kind of negative thoughts whatsoever which might go ahead and disable me whatsoever. I get to learn from someone treating as an idol. That comparison is something which is always welcome. Why will I go ahead and treat someone like this guy was here only a few days ago? Now we see him so popular. How could this guy go ahead and take? Now just imagine, again getting back to the point, how mind is going ahead and being a terrible master for us. We are not going ahead and thinking it's just that, right? So, had we been the other way around, had we been a faithful servant, or had we allowed the mind to be a faithful servant of ours, we would have actually gone ahead and seen how we can be grateful to have someone in my relatives who is doing great in his or her life, his or her profession. How can I learn something from that guy? Our parents used to say, learn from this guy, learn from that person. Now, if you see, if you go ahead and see, it's very very rare that people, or even if they say, that will be in a different direction altogether, because people can't tolerate other people's success. People can't tolerate other people shining or outshining yours, and that's so pity on their minds, whatsoever, so much to pity on their minds, that you are not able to go out and take things in. And this is a collective thing. Remember, everyone's mind is connected, and the more people go out and think in this negative direction, the more the negative vibes and it will go out and produce, and the less grateful we will be. Change starts from one person. I would love, this platform, as that change setter, the trend setter, likewise others who would be listening, not only now but in future as well, who gets to benefit a lot, from this kind of discussion, who gets to go ahead and, give this education or whatever is, coming inside you, to others for their help. Very importantly, Sunil, and this I keep saying to my family as well. If I say something good, it's not that who is saying or are saying what I am not saying whatsoever. It's someone who is making me say. I'm meant to say. That's a very different perspective of going ahead and thinking. See, once you get into these kinds of thoughts, right? These petty thoughts about comparing in the negative way, all these are bullshit. No one cares. You won't. And even the outside outcomes, whatsoever happens in a day-to-day arena, those hardly bother whatsoever. And this is also where you get to the next phase of controlling your mind. See, mind control is also having different phases, right? You get into the next phase of controlling your mind, where you play tricks on your mind, where even a very torrid summer, can seem to be you going and spending a vacation in Goa. It can happen. There are movies who have actually, gone ahead and rightly pointed out, those aspects out there. So it's all in your mind. If you are master of that, everything goes ahead and becomes seamless. But for that, the effort needs to stem from you. It's you who who is falling short. It's you who knows very well how to go ahead and transcend into the next level whatsoever. Everyone has that knowledge. You just need to go ahead and self introspect. Look inside you. What's there? There's immense things whatsoever left to left to be explored, and you can't afford to lose that precious wealth. Just going ahead and hankering behind these useless reasons. Not only that particular thought process, any other thought process, be it in your personal or professional life, without going and making the most. You always, everyone is for wealth. Let that wealth be exploited from inside. I won't use the term exploited. Let that be, utilized from inside whatsoever, rather than
Utilized, correct.
from outside. Yeah,
Correct. So, to add on to that, comparisons is never bad when you accept things and when you tend to learn from somebody and when
yeah,
you feel, okay, he or she has something very great where I can, or has the more potential energy where I can take it from and I can learn and improve myself, right?
right.
And when we add that to a negative thought, then that's where it spoils everything and it's become
Exactly.
more negative towards it.
Yeah, yeah,
Correct. Okay, I think we have 6 minutes left. Before that, I would like to uh, discuss about one important thing, something called self-validation. Right? In most of things, when we are into entry level, we go to a work environment or corporate culture. When we deal with team, we start going ahead with this self-validation. Right? Now, how can we overcome this one? That every time we go for a self-validation, it reduces our confidence. Right? So how can we overcome this one? And how can we realize our own worth? What we say, it's correct. What our opinion matters, right? How can we come to that point?
right. See, very frankly speaking, the main root cause or the solution to this is, don't be a victim of others' opinions. We are validating ourselves because we think that others' opinions matter more than us, right? So if you are becoming a victim of others' opinions, whatsoever, you are letting other people going ahead and enter your head. Leave alone mind being a master of you. You are letting others being a master of you. You are becoming a slave of yourself, whatsoever. There is no other way around. You know your answer, right?
Correct. That's true. Okay, we left with 5 minutes, and see, we started with something, and we have covered a lot of things about mind, about positivity, the energy, and procrastination, and just now self-validation. So it's really amazing discussion. Now we will wait for any questions or comments that we have that we would like to answer, and only 4 minutes left.
Sure. So, are there any questions from anyone in the comment section?
I don't see any, but in case.
So, nevertheless, I'm pretty sure that it must have clarified a lot of, I won't say doubts, but questions which people must have raised to themselves at any point of time. And not only now, if this video is being watched by someone in near future, you'll definitely get some food for thought. I would say to spare some thought at your own end. Be at the piece of everything, irrespective of wherever you are. You deserve to be there, and that's a big thing to be feeling gratitude about, grateful about, right? I know there are several things which matters. Someone might be looking down, someone might be looking up. If you think, and this is very important, this is how I also went ahead and saw a lot of benefits out there. I say, for example, visited some aunt's house where say, for example, degrees matter. The places from where you have got those degrees matter. That if say, for example, spurred you up, that is actually happening for the good. Remember, no incident happens with you having to face the brunt of it. So until unless you are in that bend of mind, you won't obviously be realizing. But you see that as a challenge. Okay, so you treat me like that. Let me go ahead and show you what I can go ahead and do. Such kinds of bends of mind whatsoever. You turn a negative thing into your positive aspect whatsoever. You turn the entire scope of things, if at all, and that's where also stems the opposition thinking whatsoever. If at all, then there is something where you can work and turn the scheme of things to your own way. Try that, do that. It's all about, like, the answers are within you. You don't have to research a book or not even see a video out there, right? You can see yourself. If you have that eagerness, have that zeal, you're meant to touch whatever you are supposed to touch, and that will benefit everyone.
Correct. That's so true.
Great, great talking to you, Sunil. Love to, go ahead and keep dragging on this discussion. There are so many things to discuss, so many things to ponder upon. But whatever we discussed is possibly lying along the, like the beads in a string. It's very easy to go ahead and go ahead and have the sequence out there.
Connect the dots.
Thoughts. You will have your own answer. There's nothing to go ahead and feel afraid about. Whatever you think helps you improve, do that. Be it anything, be it the love, the passion that you have. Stick behind your passions. You are a burning example of that. You are passionate about podcasts. See how it comes. You will definitely go out and change immensely whomsoever this particular podcast touches. But that's how is the power of you being passionate about something. So great talking to you,
Correct.
Sunil.
And thank you so much for this wonderful discussion. The points what we discussed today, it's really amazing and so thought provoking. It connects everybody. We all will be able to realize and connect, some part of time. And thank you so much. So
Thank
I
you.
think we had. So thanks everyone and for watching this. So tomorrow again we'll meet with a new topic and we'll discuss further. Thank you, Samya. Thanks everyone for your time and talk to you later again.